Meet the Mathewsons. They're a dynasty of dealers.
It drives really well.
With a love of classics.
It's only condensation.
In Thornton-le-Dale, gateway to the North York Moors, they auction over 2,000 rare vehicles every year.
42,000, the ready type, the stunning car.
All walks of life. The cars fetch people together.
I'm ecstatic.
Head of the family, Derek.
It's got to be the best job ever, isn't it? We're sort of living a dream.
Trusted lieutenants, sons Paul
Not everybody's cup of tea.
and Dave.
There's Dad's way, and there's Dad's way.
Keeping them all in check and dealing with the punters, Sarah.
Somebody could ring today with some fabulous vehicle that's been sat in a barn for 50 years. You have no clue.
It's the chase, it's finding it. So you get up every morning thinking, what am I going to find today?
This is a family's love affair with cars that have lived a life.
Someone's cherished a car and loved it, and I think it's just great. I think it's absolutely superb.
A passion that can be turned into brass. On sale this week.
1973, Escort 1.1.
It used to be my dad's car, and he died.
First time you've seen it in daylight for 30-odd years, John. That car there is part of John's family.
52 Jarrett Javelin, lot number 116.
It was a very, very advanced car.
I'd always thought I ought to have one living in and around Bradford.
Must have thought, wow, it's like a spaceship going by, wasn't it?
66 MGB GT.
My granddad had one and just always wanted to sit in the same sort of shoes that he did when he was younger.
They do love a car that's been tucked away for many years in a barn.
And what's their second favourite thing?
Sausage rolls.
The village hall opposite Mathewson's garage. Turning it from this to this. Relies on the family finding quality classic cars to sell.
Hello, Mathewsons.
Every month, a new search begins.
You never know, I might well be speaking to you next week.
Nobody knows what will turn up.
Go on, then a bit of right.
But today, there's been a tip-off.
Sounds really interesting.
The phone call they all look forward to.
They do love a car that's been tucked away for many years in a garage or a barn.
Brothers Dave and Paul are on the way.
The lads, they are off to Warrington to see a Ford Escort, Mark 1, I believe. But I think it's languished in there for about 33 years, somebody said, long time.
Details are sketchy, but it sounds like it's not only a rare model, but also an original, unrenovated one. Gold dust for an auctioneer.
The enthusiasts don't like to follow somebody else. You know, someone who's done half a job and then run out of steam and or interest, whatever it might be. They're not so keen on that. We all like to start, I think, something from the beginning, don't we? None of us like to take over a job halfway through, no matter what it is.
Fingers crossed, we'll see what this one's like and see what sort of mileage is on it, see how solid it is, see if it's still got a floor. Probably one of the most important things. It'd be an awful thing, wouldn't it? Give it a tug and only the back end comes out. That would be a bit of a downer, won't it? But we'll see.
Fords from the 1970s are in high demand. They can be restored to look like the heroes from the golden age of rallying, increasing their value.
Ford always had that edge to win. Not only did you need some talent, you obviously needed a Lotus Cortina or you needed an RS Escort. And if you didn't have one or the other, then you were never going to win. So Mark 1s now, because of that industry, have become quite rare, really. Certainly the two-door ones. Four-door ones, not so. But two-door ones, yeah, they've all been found and dug out and race rallied and wrecked, really, to be honest, unfortunately.
It used to be my dad's car, and he died. I then put it back on the road and I started running it as a second car, as a works car. I was in my 30s, maybe 36 or something like that.
John Neville's dad's car was put in the garage in 1985, and with its memories, there it stayed until today.
Oh, yeah.
How are you doing? All right.
It's definitely an Escort. But for it to be rare and valuable, Dave needs it to be the right spec.
Yeah. Looks like a little 1100 Deluxe. 2-door.
2 doors, double that price. Billed as the small car that isn't, production of the Anglia's replacement began in 1967 at Halewood and Dagenham. Well engineered and affordable, Ford hit the jackpot. Mark 1 sold in huge numbers, more than 2 million in 7 years. The model range was large, from very basic to luxury, estates and vans. An Escort for everyone. And the ultimate, the Mexico and RS. World-beating rally cars that you could buy and drive to work. Today, they're worth a lot of money.
There you go. London Saver, dated 16th of May 1983. Until further notice, so you might still be able to get that. There you go. And we've got a boot floor, so that's a start. Look at that. Original spare wheel and tyre. Yeah, it hasn't kept so bad. Yeah, it's kept all right. The thing to do will be to have a look underneath, you know, seals and floors and see where we are. But yeah, not bad at all. Super. Well, would you believe it? Battery's flat.
Not surprisingly, the middle-aged Classic is going to need some coaxing to get it shifted.
You never put too much wind in, just put enough in for them to roll. Because obviously they've been flat for a long time and they're only perished. Just give her a little tug, Paul, and see where we are. Yeah, hang on, Paul.
The brakes are seized. Dave's precision tool is needed.
I'm not getting any younger, so I thought I might as well sort it out myself before the inevitable happens and try and enjoy a bit of money.
Steady on, Paul. Yeah, steady away.
It might give me a cruise, and it might not.
Dave gets a first look underneath. A lot of work if it's gone.
Yeah, not too bad. Fair bit of surface stuff, which you would expect. Fortunately, 3/4 of the garage floor in there is actually wood, which is the best thing. It's just a section there that's flagged and soil. Not a good base to stand a car, but that side's not too bad.
Thanks to the sturdy Escort, John could soon be setting sail to warmer climes than Warrington. But it does mean saying goodbye to his dad's pride and joy.
That car there is part of John's family. You know, that's quite important to them. They've had it so long.
Well, there you go. I remember when they'd done it. Eh? He's took me a few places in it. He'll be pleased. He'll be pleased now if it's worth a few quid. You know what I mean? It's probably worth more now than it was when it went in the garage. He looked after it very well. He greased the bumpers and made sure everything was, and changed the oil. He changed the oil himself, and then if it needed to go in the garage, it went in the garage and had repairs done to it, you know. He was proud of the car. He liked it.
The Escort could be worth over £5,000. But it all depends on how well it's received at the auction. In post-war Britain, a new car. So ahead of its time, it was compared to a spaceship. Sleek, aerodynamic, with an opulent interior. Its groundbreaking engine cruised at motorway speeds before they'd even been built. The Jarrett Javelin, made in Yorkshire. 70 years on, this long-forgotten motoring mark
I won't go in there.
is pulling into Mathewsons.
Get round. Steady. Come on. Come on. Now you can do it being over here a foot. Come on. Keep it like that. Come on. Steady away. Come on. Come on. Come on. That'll do you.
As Yorkshire's only mass-production car, the Jowett will generate real interest.
When they come out, I mean, people who were driving like Austin 7s and Morris 10s and stuff, they must have thought, wow, not our. It's like a spaceship going by, wouldn't it?
Bradford's Jarrett Javelin was born into a world of square cars. The Motor magazine said it had a combination of qualities rendering it unrivaled in its field. Designer and engineer Gerald Palmer was considered ahead of his time and styled the Javelin as a world car, eyeing up sales in Europe, North America and Africa. In a time before wind tunnels, it was aerodynamic, and with bench seats front and back, it had space for 6. It looked like the gamble to break the mould was going to pay off for Jowett, until they did the maths. It was too expensive to make. Corners were cut and sales plummeted. Jowett ceased trading in 1954. The Javelin is being sold by Pat Shepherd.
We'll slide it out straight on there.
We'll get it straight onto there.
He's decided to thin out his collection.
I'm 75, nearly 76, and it's getting a bit much for me, keeping them all clean and going more running.
He's also brought in a 1951 Riley RMB, a proper executive car in its day. It runs and drives, and comes with the original engine in bits.
That's everything to build this engine back up with. There's everything all here.
Righto.
It's an early one with white metal shells.
Which are great though. People like, there's white metal there. Look, you can see where it's broken up. Can you see that? That's the problem. So it wants re-metaling. That's there's one well broken up. Look.
That's the one what's making the noise.
Yeah, not half.
It needs a complicated repair involving vintage car witchcraft.
You're lucky if there's half a dozen people in the country, whole country, what can do it.
Having said that, the engine that's in it is very good, and it's a very good engine. Yeah, it's a better engine that's in it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, personally, if it were me, I wouldn't change it.
No, I wouldn't.
Can't see the point. But someone might want to put it back to bog standard, exactly as it was.
Pat is also parting with the police bike of choice in the 1950s and 60s. A 200cc Velocette LE.
Used to find them in sheds, parked away in sheds, tatty and rusty and knocked about, because they were worthless. Nobody wanted them. They had no street cred. So none of the lads wanted them. The last thing they'd want is an LE. You'd never be seen dead on one. But now, of course, everyone wants one now for their collection.
With a stealthy, quiet engine, it was favoured by the Met for breaking up Derrick's street cricket.
You know, chalk a wicket maybe on a wall or pinch someone's dustbin. And but the police obviously had to stop you whenever they saw you. And this is what they used to creep up on, thinking, been caught again, like that. Anyway, it was only a telling off and that. And when he went, you started playing again. I think it'll do very, very well. That'll sell, no trouble at all.
Patty's going to have one last look at the groundbreaking Jowett before he heads off.
You got it all?
Yeah, all sorted, thank you.
Good. In the day, they were well in front. They were very modern at the time. And the engine in it is a flat 4, which is very similar to the early Saab engines. You know, you've got 2 pistons there. Instead of coming up that way, they go out sideways.
Pat's made up his mind. The car needs to go. There will be a sensible reserve.
Derrick knows, you know, what least I'll take for it, and we'll leave it at that.
Barn finds are a bit like buses. You wait and wait for them to turn up, and then...
So I've been talking to a guy just now who's called me. He's got rather an interesting vehicle, hopefully, fingers crossed.
At a secret location, somewhere in North Yorkshire, owner Graham and his 1966 MGB GT. It's one of a number of cars that he unearthed from a barn. He's playing his cards close to his chest.
Freshly pulled out of a barn, can't tell you where. Well, there's 3 barns full, so we've only been in one barn so far, so and we'd like to get in the other 2 barns, so I don't really want to divulge if you don't mind.
There's a certain logic to the cloak and dagger behaviour. Finding an unmodified original in good condition is the holy grail of passionate car enthusiasts.
I've always loved cars from being as far as I can remember, which is a long time ago. Anybody who collects cars, it's a sickness. It's something you can't help. It's just something that's built into you. I just love collecting cars.
In 1965, Italian designer Pininfarina gave the soft top a makeover, giving it better aerodynamics than the Roadster. The engine bay had enough room for a Rover V8 transplant. The performance was stunning. Then came the rubber bumpers to keep the US happy, making Brits unhappy. But the market seems to have got over it. And they're all now considered an evergreen classic.
It was one of the first MGBs that were produced. If somebody wants to get into owning a classic car, then an MGB is probably the easiest thing to do, because they are easy to own. There's loads and loads of them about, so parts are plentiful, so it's easy to keep them on the road.
Graham's got a lot of renovation projects on at the moment, so reluctantly he's decided to put this one into the auction. But he's keen it goes to a good home.
It's such a nice car, it needs to go to somebody who can give it the time and care that it needs. Probably estimated between 2,500 and 3,500, and it's in the lap of the gods where it ends up. So it'll be just fingers crossed on the day.
Chances are, though, that there won't be a shortage of bidders. It's auction day.
Last time, £80, £80.
There's no end of shiny classics on offer.
I see more and more on the road over here, so there must be a growing market for it.
But it's the one covered in dust and leaves that's causing a stir. John's dad's car is about to go under the hammer.
1973, Escort 1.1. Just wants a little bit of weekend work. All the history's there. It's 40,000 miles, resting for 33 years, and eager to get going again. Start me in the hall. 3,000, £3,000. Now do you have £3,000? 3,250, 3,500, 3,750, 4,000, 5,000. He says 5,500. Now 5,500. 5,750, right at the very back. 6,000, £6,000. Paul's phone, £7,000. Sell it and away. 7-1, 7-2, 7-3. Jack's phone, 7-3, 7-4, 7,004, 7-4, 7-5, 7,005. Tell him Paul. 7-6, 7-7, 7,007, 7,750. You done? 7,750. Jack, thank you very much for his bidding. 7,750.
The telephone bidder wins the Escort.
7,750.
Still got the dead snails on it.
It did very well for 7 3/4.
John's had the sort of day every seller dreams of.
I think you're delighted, aren't you? Delighted.
Oh, I'm delighted, yeah. It was well past the reserve. I actually can't believe it's worth this amount of money, to be honest with you. I mean, look at the state of it. The paintwork there. Yeah, my dad would be well proud.
The The MGB unearthed in a barn find has arrived at the garage. Owner Graham is confident that he has a very sound example, but Derek will need to give it his eagle-eyed once-over.
Right, let's have a look, mate, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the early ones that I wanted, isn't it? There's no doubt about that.
Well, this is a super early one, yes. Yeah. 1966. And it's leather interior.
Yeah.
Want me to pop the bonnet?
Yeah, let's have a quick look.
It's, the paint job leaves a lot of it inside.
It looks as though most of it's cosmetic, doesn't it? Castle section's all right. All okay underneath. There are castle rails on that, yeah.
For any car destined for the auction, this friendly look around is one of the most important aspects of the business.
Yeah, sound enough, I think, isn't it?
It's all there.
Well, it's got the makings.
But Derek always tells it straight.
I'm not going to lie for any vendor. You know, I'm not going to cover up any faults that we know of on a car, especially a serious fault. When guys come up to me on auction day or the day before auction, well, any time, but certainly those 2 days particularly, and they grab hold of me all the time and say, what do you know about so-and-so? Have you driven it? And if I say the car drives right, the car drives right, and that's it. And they'll buy it on that basis. And if I'm wrong, I'll pay. And that's the way we work.
The car seems sound enough, but there's a bit of an issue with the paintwork. More Kermit the Frog than British Racing Green.
Yeah, they done a shortcut, didn't they, there? Which is a shame, really. I mean, next man would do it right, won't he?
So, the problem's mainly cosmetic. But whoever takes it on will need to be prepared for a few weekends' work.
The average man in the street that comes for an MGB or a sports car of that ilk will not buy it because of what it wants doing to it. It will frighten him. Corrosion and what have you around here, it's no big deal, really. It's not a great big thing. It's not a big problem. It wouldn't bother me, but a lot of people would be bothered about it and they would be worried about it, and therefore they'd walk past it and buy the glimmy one, which was in exactly this condition 6 months ago for another 7,000 or 8,000 quid or something. This looks solid, you know. It's the first thing I always look at is door shuts and skins. And I know it's tatty, but it's not full of filler. You know, the seats actually would colour up and come back okay. Bit of a split on that one, but it can be repaired. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think it's right. I think it's nearer 2.5 than 3.5. I don't think it'll ever do 3.5, but it should do 2.5.
In the showroom, the Jarrett Javelin has caught the attention of ex-bank manager, now volunteer car washer, Jeffrey, also known as Bubbles.
I had one of these when I was a lot younger, early 60s. 165 quid I paid for it, and it was black, just like this. And it used to do 35 miles to the gallon, and it was pretty fast. There wasn't another car with a sloping back, and this was a revolutionary design, really. All had leather interior, bench seats back and front, with a picnic tray which sits in there like so. Very, very much ahead of its time. Perhaps too modern for the market in those days. You know, sadly, it wasn't a reliable car. It was renowned for breaking crankshafts. On top of that, the gearboxes were a little bit weak. So generally, you know, they had such an expense with warranty claims and failures and problems and whatever that it was doomed. Sadly, but I mean, in its day, it was a lovely car.
The Jowett Car Company has long since gone. But in the lanes around Bradford, the mark lives on. Michael Koch Osborne is the grandson of one of the founding Jowett brothers.
My grandfather was, in fact, William Jowett, yes. So I've been brought up with Jowetts all my life.
And owns one of the first cars built, a Jowett 7.
The Jowett brothers formed Jowett Motor Manufacturing Company in 1901. And the first car was sold to a sales representative in the north of England on the basis that it would climb a local hill, which no other light car would go up. And it was sold on a sale return basis, and it climbed the hill, so it never came back to the works.
Robert Meekings, another Jowett enthusiast, has a pristine Javelin.
I'm in a 1952 Jarrett Javelin Deluxe. always thought I ought to have one living in and around Bradford, and then 3 years ago I sought this one out and here it is. I like the flat 4 engine. I like the spacious interior, the leather seats. It's just got a feeling of class when you're driving it. Whenever you go out in it, there are gentlemen of a certain age stand and point at it, telling their grandchildren what it is.
It's the morning of the auction. Derek's been at the garage for hours.
Derek, yeah, you like to get an early start. What's the
I'm not over keen on an early start, John, but I woke up at about 4:10. I thought, I might as well get up and get on.
What I really like about it is the fact that he comes in at 5 and when I stroll in at 8, he likes to inform me that he's been here since 5 just to make me feel a little bit guilty.
Good deer for it, isn't it?
Yeah, cracking deer.
Mathewsons is in its 50th year of trading. Over the years, the family have learned that there are 3 essential requirements for a good auction: buns, bacon and tea. But today, there's a problem.
Disaster.
No cups.
It's a first for heads of catering, Enid and Linda.
We have got a big shortage of cooks. There's a lot of Yorkshiremen here, and if they're in a brew, there could be a revolt.
Derek, we're going to cancel the auction.
Well, we'll have to.
Tell them not to panic. We're never without tea in Yorkshire.
And so it was.
24.5.
Disaster narrowly averted.
Angela had to go to the cash and carry and get a pack.
Today's auction will take place.
I've come all the way down from Glasgow just to get a look round and something might catch my eye.
Look out, mind out, mind out, mind out.
What do you reckon that is then?
Well, I haven't a clue really, to be honest with you, but it's something worth having a look at.
It's the day of reckoning for the 1966 MGB. Derek, however, is not optimistic about finding a buyer.
The average man in the street will not buy it because of what it wants doing to it. It will frighten him.
But step forward, 17-year-old student Mathewsons.
Quite nice. Got the full interior. Might need a bit of cleaning up, but it's a nice little restoration project. My granddad had one, and he's always got the photos out, and as they do, flicking through the albums and talking about all the times that he had in it. Just always wanted to get one to kind of sit in the same sort of shoes that he did when he was younger, and I think he'd be quite chuffed. Looks nice. Bit of rust here and there, but not too bad.
66 MGB GT.
Matthew has never bought anything at an auction before.
Very honest car, wants some paintwork, locally owned and entered, very, very genuine car. Comes from an enthusiast, local enthusiast. Nice vehicle, she's a 1966, right year. Goodwood car, start me on that. Whereabouts going to be? Come on, where? 1,000, no, 15 to start. 1,500, 15, 17, 19, 19, 21, 21, that it? Don't forget what it is, a 66, very straight car. 21, provisionally for the second. Third and last time standing provisionally. 21, not far away, we'll try.
Matthew blinked and nearly missed it.
Over in seconds, really. Gonna go and contact the seller now, see whether he's willing to accept my offer, and go from there. If he is, then fingers crossed I've just bought myself a car.
Hi there.
Provisional, lot 66.
Lot 66. Did you get 2,100? Yeah, that's fine. You've got it at that.
The £2,100 provisional is accepted. Matthew is the new owner.
All right, thanks very much.
I know I'm going to have to sort out the paintwork. Fingers crossed it should be okay. No nasty surprises, and I'll be happy.
We'll be seeing how he got on with the restoration later in the programme.
Where's Derek today?
Derek's probably in his man cave today.
And what does he do up there?
Who knows? Man things. Goes in his man drawer, gets things out and does man things in there.
Paul's been and snaffled up some seatbelt material, as you can see, which we find is absolutely perfect for retention in the swab in your old seats. This one's gone a little bit soft and a little bit soggy. It's your own little bit of space where hopefully not too many people want to come in, especially women, because it's a man's territory, really.
It cheers him up. He usually emerges from his man cave in a much better mood than what he went in, so bring it on.
And if you want stuff for your man cave, look no further.
Proceeds to charity, courtesy of Mick the Van. There he is, brought it in the other day for. Don't you get on that, you go and break the damn thing. Get off it.
What do you like about that one? Well, just the look of it. It's just an attractive piece to go on the wall of my man cave when I get it all finally finished off.
Yeah, and it's nice to just get him out from under your feet, I'm assuming.
Definitely, yeah.
Lot number 97, we're doing the enamel garage sign, which Charlie's got there now. Parts and service, nice sign.
Mathewson's regular and car collector Dave Carnell has taken his man cave project to a whole new level. In his personal homage to the 50s and 60s, Dave's built a diner, a rehearsal space and a tiki bar.
I had a vision in my mind of how it used to be, and got to a stage of life where I could sort of afford to do it, so I thought, well, why not?
He's spent years collecting period memorabilia, not all of it from Derrick's.
Dinner, American dinner, spelt wrong. It came from China. I'm not a great fan of Elvis, but I did play in an Elvis nostalgia band, and so strange enough, we've got an Elvis here that actually sings and plays and leaves the building occasionally if you win. It was supposed to finish here, the diner, that was it, but then of course we got carried away
And next door, Hawaii meets Yorkshire.
Good evening, welcome to the Tiki Bar. Would you like a drink? I just love the look of it, you know. I've enjoyed doing it probably more than working on the cars recently. The one immediately outside the diner, it's a 1955 T-Bird. Well, that's a tribute to the original one, which is called the 59 Stingray Racer. I just thought, I love that. It all relates somehow, this coincidentally, to bands that I played with.
Back in Thornton-le-Dale, in his slightly oilier and more prehistoric man cave, Derrick is doing important restoration work on the seat of an Aston Martin.
It's just a pressure relief valve, that's what it is for me, pressure relief valve. And I think it's a marriage saver for most other guys, because I think everyone should have a man cave, at least a shed, where they can play around, relax, put their own music on, have a drink, get a few friends around. I think it's so important. I think guys that have got a really lovely, warm, laid-out man cave, I think they've cracked it.
It's auction day, and before the cars go on sale, Derrick has 300 lots of auto memorabilia to get through.
£50, cheap lot.
Try and interview him later, about 5:30. You know when he's doing this? Because he can't speak. All right. Good morning, Mathewsons.
The Jarrett Javelin seems to be attracting a bit of interest.
Smell that. Smell the leather.
From Bradford, surnamed Jowett, Matthew's here with his dad Arthur.
So we're both Jowetts. I grew up near where this car was built, so a bit of a connection, you might say.
He doesn't think he's related to the company founders, but he's planning to bid.
It's in good condition. Yeah, I wonder if Eddie's done seats. Yeah.
I think it might run this one in auction. I think it might go for a very good price.
Next we go on to another star of the show, the 52 Jarrett Javelin, lot number 116. Cracking old car.
Pat's here to watch it go.
Yep. 1952 she is,
Hey, our local car, Bradford car, start me on it. Where are we going to be? Where? 4. And we're off. 4,000, 4,002, 4,4, 4,004, 4,600, 4,600, 4,800, 4,008, 5,000. See ya. 5,000 out this side. 5,000. Selling it. Third and last time on the side. Selling outright. £5,000. Very cheap car. 5,000. You've done well.
Sold to Matthew Jowett.
I was going to come in quite late, but it got going pretty quickly, and the number was less than I thought it was going to go for, so no, decent price, very pleased.
Hi, who's next, please?
Hi there. Oh, yeah. Lot 116.
You bought the Jarrett Javelin today. Mr. Jowett?
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Are you an ancestor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's fantastic.
No, it's brilliant.
Have you always wanted one, or have you got many?
No, I wanted one.
This is your first one. Congratulations, Mr. Jowett, on your first Jowett.
At 39, Matthew could be the world's youngest Jowett owner.
It's not really a car that you would associate with your age group either,
No, it's not.
is it? So that's even better.
I'm planning to keep it for a while. So
Yeah.
I'll go into it.
The 1952 Riley sold to a phone bidder for £8,300.
Third and last time. 8,300.
And the Velocette for a knockdown price.
Last time. Provisional 2,000.
Less than its reserve price, but Pat's thinking it might be enough.
I'm quite pleased. I've sold everything. Sold the Riley, sold the Jowett, and I'm just going to go and tell them to let the Velocette go. Even though it was sold provisionally, I'm quite happy with what we got for it.
The new owner, John Minery from York.
All in all, for the hammer price, it is an absolute bargain. You just can't find them in this condition for this price. Absolutely superb.
You got a box, Dad?
The renovation of the 1966 MGB GT is well underway, thanks to one of the UK's youngest classic car owners. Matthew Dowson has just turned 18.
I can't see any more nuts in there. Might be inside.
Today we've sort of been tidying up some of the flaky stuff in the engine bay, getting rid of that, trying to get out the heater. Front bumper have been off to get the engine out. Took the head off to do the valve stem oil seals and saw a little bit of divoting on the pistons and decided to completely rebuild the engine. And we've started stripping the paint where it was flaking away off the wings. You can kind of see it cracking through there where the paint started blistering slightly. So inside I'm planning on keeping sort of all the original seating and everything. I've just got a kit to completely restore all the leather in there, so fingers crossed I should be able to keep it all nice and original.
Matthew has done a lot of the work himself, but it helps that Dad Jeff is a truck mechanic.
Oh, he's been a massive help. He's the mechanical brains behind it. I'm more like the apprentice, shall we say. I get told what to do and do it.
Still definitely something holding up.
He knows what he's doing. I just pretend to know what I'm doing.
Paul and Charlie have been to pick up a very familiar car.
Return of an old friend.
It's the Escort, dragged out of a barn a few months ago.
We get a lot come back, but not normally quite as quick as this, occasionally. Perfect. Did that break off?
The anonymous phone buyer decided what he actually wanted to renovate was an American V8 muscle car.
Chap intended spending lots and lots of money on it and making a really nice job of it, which I'm sure he would have done. But we have these changes, don't we? And he's thought better of it.
Although the Escort's looking a bit better, curiously, this might have devalued it.
The only downside of it now, it's not a genuine barn find as it was. It's now been through another owner's hands, which always just takes the edge off of things and just tarnishes things slightly, in as much as it just loses its authenticity slightly.
Second time around, 7,750 to beat.
The Mark 1, 5, 4 then, 4,000, 4, 4,000, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6,000, 6,000, 6,005, 6, 5, 6,006, 7, 6,700, 6,008, 6, 9, 6, 9, submitted then, shaking his head, 6,900, 6, 9.
£850 less, proving that barn fresh is always best. As for original owner John, he did get his free holiday thanks to the Escort, but unfortunately that didn't go well either.
We got bad weather in the cruise, in the Bay of Biscay, which is notorious. There were people falling over and all the crockery was going off the tables. At one time you wanted to see me dead on the cruise, and to be honest with you, the last cruise I had, I thought I was going to end up dead anyway.
So what's happened to the Jarrett Javelin, bought by Matthew Jowett? The car is now back home with Matthew in Bradford, 1 mile from where it was originally built 66 years ago.
The first time I realised that they'd actually built the cars over in Bradford and got to learn about the cars was when they actually built a supermarket on the old site. And when it opened, they had all the pictures of the old factory and of the cars up. And obviously I'd seen them in the museum as well as a kid. So I just started reading into it, and I'm a big fan of old cars generally. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get something old, then why not? It makes sense. The engine's had a bit of work over the years, and there's a few additions in there, but actually the bodywork is remarkably original. But one of the things that I was really pleased about after the auction was when the car was delivered, it came with a massive file full of paperwork. There's photos of previous owners, there's the original maintenance manual, original tax disc going back to 1952, and then there's a whole host of other sort of period documents. Yeah, it's amazing what's arrived with it. The swooping back, I just think, is a great line. The fact the doors open the way they do, it's a bit different. It's a bit sort of Art Deco in its shape. Trafficators, these are brilliant. I'm still probably about 30 years too young really for this type of car. I've got a few of the old school pals who are asking what's got into me. Couldn't you find an uglier car? But I just don't think they see the class in it, really.
Matthew's children are much more understanding.
They think it's hilarious. They are referring to it as Dad's taxi because, let's face it, it does have a look of a black cab. But no, they can't wait to get out in it. They're already asking me when I'm going to take them to school in it, and I've told them that I need to see if the brake works before I take it down the hill.